Hi, everyone. This is Ashton Faye with Keller Williams Real Estate coming to you for another episode of Keys, Chaos, and Client Tales. And today I have here with me.
Darrin Hamilton.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Darrin, you are from Northwest Escrow. So he is an escrow officer. For those of you who don't know what escrow is, they are the third party that balances the books. The buyer is not going to give money directly to the seller. The seller is not going to pay the lender directly for their mortgage that they have to pay off. That's all escrow. Escrow takes all the money and then disperses it to everybody who needs the money.
That's true. Yep. We are that disinterested third party. We make sure to get all the technical side of things handled, and then we make sure everyone enjoys their process as we go through settlement. You spend oftentimes maybe 30 or 45 days in the settlement process.
Yeah. When you are buying a property, one of the first things that's going to happen is we're going to open up escrow, which means I'm going to be reaching out to Darrin here or somebody like him. And then he's going to make sure that the books are balanced as far as the money coming in and the money going out the whole way, that everybody knows who's on board with this. And then at the final day, they're going to schedule final closing documents where you have to go in and sign all of the paperwork. So that's probably the day where you're going to see Darrin or somebody like him the most. Everything else is going to be on email before that.
That's right. Email, online, call us on the phone. It's exactly how the process works. Ashton says all the documents, and there should be an emphasis on all the documents. It's a lot of documents. It's technical stuff. And then we get to disperse on the day of closing. Ashton takes care of getting you the keys. We pay everybody, including ourselves. That's a nice part of the job. And then there we are. And we get documents recorded at the county as well, so that you are the owner, or you are no longer the owner, I suppose.
The important part of that is the money being balanced and all of those documents getting signed. So I imagine that you've had to go meet some clients in some pretty crazy places, with some pretty fun stories about like getting signatures. Because you have to get like at least 100 signatures. It's a lot of pages and you have to sign all of them at least once. Like, do some hand exercises before you go in for your closing date signing because, oh my gosh.
Limber up, get your brain ready too. It is a lot to take in. Documents have to be signed in a certain way. You have to have the same signature on all the documents. The lender tells you how these documents are supposed to be signed, a lot of things to handle. This already happens after you have gone under contract, you are starting to box up your house and get ready to move to the new neighborhood, or you're downsizing and you've got 30 years of mementos and 30 Christmases past, and you've got all these things that you're handling and taking care of. And then on top of it, you have to close the transaction. When you work with Ashton and other top agents, you see that they're doing all these extra things, whatever it is that they need to do to get the job done. That's kind of our philosophy. That's really what it takes in real estate settlement as well. So you might be surprised to know that I have been to hospitals, to jails, to Yakima, signed clients at midnights, gone to bars, senior living facilities.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy, but it actually kind of makes the job a little bit fun. We even had a client.
Exciting. It makes it exciting.
It does. It does. So for us in real estate settlement, escrow and title, we get to meet people who live in our community and play an active role in a real estate transaction, this major life event. So it's endlessly interesting. I was thinking of one client that we had. This was, I'm sure, probably 20 years ago. And she wanted to sign on this certain day at this certain time. It turns out that she wanted to sign at the hospital about 3 hours after just having a new baby.
Oh
And
my
I said,
goodness.
I'll come by later. I'll meet you at your home. We can, we can do it tomorrow. And nope, she wanted to do it then. So I showed up. We got the signing done. She had the new kid. She had the existing kids. She had the husband. I think the parents or in-laws were there. It was really a good time. And so it's kind of whatever it takes. We meet with clients sometimes online, virtually for signing. That's only available in certain situations, but we've met with clients from Iceland, from Israel. I've met clients at midnight. They had a certain timing where they couldn't sign before, so said the lender. So I waited in my car until midnight. Then I walked up to the door. They were expecting me, and we took care of the signing there. Noisy bars met at 4 a.m. Action does whatever it takes, and I don't think it's too much to ask that real estate settlement people, title and escrow people do whatever it takes.
Slow down there. I'm not going to be meeting anybody at midnight. I am going to be tucked up in my bed at midnight.
Oh,
I'm glad we have you, though, to
yes,
take care of that.
that might have been a younger me, a more reckless me. I don't know.
Tell me about the jail story. We kind of skipped right over that. You went and signed documents in a jail?
Yes, I actually have gone a couple of times. One time, he was a nice guy. He was a little, I don't know, just a little reckless. I don't know what
He
happened.
made some bad choices.
That's all. That's
That's
all.
what got him
A
there.
bad choice or two. He was certainly a nice guy. So went downtown to the King County Jail here in Washington in Seattle, and he was refinancing. I'm not really sure how that worked. There was another situation where I went and met with a uh, not so nice of a guy, and he was going to be there for quite a while. And the one thing to think about is whatever the situation is, whatever happens, there's usually a solution. If we work on it in advance, if we work on it with the clients and the agents, we can make things happen. This other situation was certainly a lot darker. You meet in the attorney client room. There has to be a guard there, and so it can be a little strange. It can be a little off-putting, but it's just sometimes what needs to happen.
So he's selling a house or buying a house from jail?
Well, he was a seller, and I would say that he's moving to the big house.
Uh,
So he was, yeah, I think he's still there now. And so he was definitely a seller.
there's no reason to pay a mortgage on a house that you're not going to be living in for the next 10 plus years.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sometimes though, we meet someone like him. And also, we meet with super nice people. We have those clients as well. We have super wealthy, super famous. My favorite are, and maybe Ashton will agree, I like the nice ones.
I like the nice ones.
All
They're
right.
not as fun of a story. They are really nice to just like be able to go home and not be like, oh God, I need a drink.
Or I need to get out of here.
Uh,
We had a client one time, was a detective, Seattle Police Department. She investigated crimes against elderly people, and
oh,
she was really committed to it, and really that was her mission, and that was really her calling. She was buying a house. She was moving from a little cottage on the lake to a house in the suburbs. She was adopting her cousin's two children, and she was changing her whole life around and super inspired by it. So she was an amazing person professionally and an amazing person just in her personal life. And this is 20 or 25 years ago, and she still stays in my mind. She was great. I went out and met her at the police department, and that was fine. And they let me out, and
that's
um,
good.
yeah, and so that's a pretty nice person.
I know that we've had a couple of transactions with some more eccentric people. Really nice, but gosh, they just want to tell you their whole life story. We have to get through 100 pages, and each one comes with its own life story.
There's people who maybe have lived in the house that they grew up in. It was their parents' house. Maybe it was even their grandparents' house. And I think over the years, they just kind of lived there. I'm not saying they're always the eccentric ones, but it kind of seems like it. Those people are endlessly fascinating too. I'm happy to talk a little bit. These are eras of time. These are major life events. I think sometimes it's important just to remember that your human clients are human. But as obvious as it sounds, these are very real people. And sometimes they're odd, or if they have a little more money, then they get to be eccentric. And I love those people. We're working with a couple of elderly brothers right now, and they've owned these properties they're selling. They've owned them for 50 years, and they pay
Wow.
$2,500 spot. And uh,
We love to have that today.
yes, I mean, can you
$2,500.
get earnest money for $2,500? I don't know.
I did sell a lot last year. Year before?
All right.
I used Northwest Escrow. You might not remember it. $2,500, but let's talk about it. It was a piece of somebody's backyard in the middle of suburbia,
All
and
right.
it had been seized by the IRS and sold at auction. And then we sold it back to its original owners. They didn't even know that they didn't own half of their backyard. We sold it
Oops.
back to them for $2,500.
Those happen. I had a client just a couple of weeks ago. He had been saving his money in a shoebox, literally, the old save it under the bed in a shoebox.
Gosh.
He had saved up money for years, and he wound up being able to pay all cash for the place he was buying. He paid dollars for a mobile home, and he was thrilled. He was in tears as we were meeting and he was signing. It was such a wonderful achievement. He had his own place. He was ready to move. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. And that we do see regularly.
I mean, this takes me back to the first episode that I did on the Keys, Chaos, and Client Tales podcast, where I talked about my first transaction personally. She was super sweet, but I was so wrapped up in like my version of the story of, oh my gosh, it's my first deal, that I forgot to see her as the person who was selling her forever home and all of the emotions that went into that. And I think it's so important. And that's what I really love about Northwest Escrow as well, is that they're a small escrow company and they really see the person that is in the transaction and really tailor it to, what does the person need? Do they need to sit here and talk to you? We're not doing a 15-minute appointment. We're doing however long it takes. If you can't come into the office, great. We'll go meet you at the bar downtown.
It is certainly for us, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
If all we're doing is paperwork and handling all the technical side of things, at least for me, real estate settlement just isn't that much fun on its own. I'll get into a 15-minute signing and it's a seller or all cash buyer and pretty quickly realize it's going to be a 30-minute, maybe a 45-minute or an hour signing because we're going to talk about how they raised their kids in this house, how they are moving into the next place that will be their last place. Whatever these nuances are, these elements are. And so it's just important and more fun to get on their level. The settlement process is 30 days or so. And I always am encouraging agents to stay active in that process. And it's not always easy, but it's just really important and it's more fun.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can have you come by and visit another time, do another episode.
Listen, sign me up. I'm ready to go. If you didn't see her very first episode, it is a classic. Go back, check it out, and let me know if there's ever anything I can do to support you. Most importantly, connect with Ashton, and then we'll be able to have a chance to work together. So hope that happens.
Thank you so much. As always, I'm always here to help whenever you're ready. If you're ready now, let's talk. 425-491-1620. And then we can get a deal going and bring Darrin right in with us.
I'll be the bonus.
Thank you so much. Like, follow. I'm on all your social platforms, and I will see you next time. Bye.